I'm sorry. I was just rocking out.
And now you're rocking out to music that is not copyright stricken.
Oh, good.
So,
So we don't have to worry about that, huh?
yeah, no, somebody may have forgotten to include that into the metadata before now, but it is included now.
Okay, good.
The
So,
things you learn the hard way on YouTube.
um, hell, I think it's just the things you learn the hard way in life.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Good morning, Ray.
well,
Or good
and
afternoon, right? Sorry, good
well, I
afternoon.
was going to say good morning to you, but good afternoon to me. I am well. How are you doing today, Justice?
I'm doing well. It's hot. I got to tell you, I wish I could have the window open right now. But unfortunately, the gardeners are outside again.
Oh, not those guys.
Yeah. And Jarrett, we will be getting to you. Absolutely. And the name's
Okay.
with an S, by the way.
Okay. Well, people don't know.
No, I know. I was saying by the way, but it is on the screen right there.
Yes, I see it. Yeah.
But no, that's not a come at you comment. It was just by the way.
Yes.
The name is with an S. That's all.
Yes. It's like growing up, everybody would occasionally they would call me Raymond. And I'd say, no, my name's Ray. They go, no, it can't just be Ray. I said, okay, my first name's Just. Okay, because it's just Ray. I swear to you. That's what it says on my birth certificate. Just Just Ray Shefska. Yeah. So there you have it.
I did not know that, actually. I think I have written you as Raymond every once in a while, and you've never corrected me. So now I know.
Yeah, I don't bother to correct people because nobody believes me anyway. But it's, my name is Ray Allen Shefska, okay? And people will say, well, why didn't your parents name you Raymond? Okay, well, my father said, well, we didn't know if you would be bright enough to be able to spell it, so we figured we'd just leave it at 3 letters for you. And then my middle name, Allen, is Alan, and apparently they didn't want me to have to get confused with 2 L's. So,
they set the bar really high for you just coming out the gate. You were born, they looked at you and said, let's keep it easy.
Well, I will share one thing before we get into the show, and that was that my first grade teacher asked that I repeat first grade, and my parents said, no, you don't want to do that to yourself, and B, we're not doing that to Ray. So I was always with the slow kids. So there you have it, and that's what qualified me for the automobile business, I suppose.
Where you found great success. So I've worked with some people at the dealership, and I would say you cannot be slow to get up into management there. You have to know, you have to be a pretty smart guy to get up there, at least to stay in it for a long time. You don't have to be a nice guy. You don't have to be an ethical guy, but you got to at least have some smarts.
Yes, but I prefer to be ethical.
Yeah.
And quasi smart.
I just like to be ethical. I'm just not going to set that bar that high for me. Just leave it to ethical, and then anyone who's seeing my spelling mistakes on my thumbnails that actually go out to the world knows on that smart thing I don't try too hard.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, I suppose since we're 4 minutes into the show and people are wondering what the hell's going on with used EVs, maybe we should probably address that before the audience dwindles to 0.
Yeah, absolutely. So used EVs, according to Cox Automotive, who we trust everything they say all the time, in Q1 of 2023, used EV prices or used EV sales, went up 32%, and prices went down 12.5%. I bet those things aren't correlated at all.
You don't think? It's pretty amazing to me that as ICE vehicle prices keep escalating and skyrocketing, that used EV prices are declining dramatically, and declining at a rate that we don't see a correlation to that rate on used ice vehicles. So if this were to continue, and my supposition is that it will continue because one never knows when Tesla will decide to lower their new car prices again,
Yep.
which dramatically impacts the value of their pre-owned cars. So if this were to continue, suddenly used EVs are going to become less expensive for the vast majority of people than a comparable ICE vehicle. So even if they didn't want an EV, people will actually consider the pre-owned one because of its price advantage against an ICE vehicle. And the price advantage, from what I've learned from you, goes well beyond the initial cost because there's continued savings because it's cheaper to fuel it with electricity than it is with gasoline, and there's less mechanical repairs. So I would think it would become such a compelling argument. Uh, what we're going to need is salespeople that actually understand EVs and would know how to sell them.
Yeah, I mean, as we've discussed before, that's a really big thing right now. Is the salespeople don't know anything about them. Most of us who buy used EVs go in there and we know more about the
Mm-hmm.
EV than the salesperson. Salespersons are asking us questions, which I got to figure at some point they're going to have to learn just through osmosis of their buyers
Yes.
on these vehicles. We had the couple that I talked about that bought the car that wasn't charged because the dealer didn't. Apparently, they
Mm-hmm.
didn't have any way to charge it,
Yeah.
so they just didn't. Like, well, what happened if it sat there for 4 more days? What were
Yeah.
you going to do? Like, you were going to have a paperweight. Like, what are you doing? Um, so, I mean, that that's a big deal on that side of it. Certainly, doing the inspection. Um, Kev asked, is that PHEV or just pure EV? Right now, it's just BEV, battery electric vehicles, not
Mm-hmm.
plug-in hybrid. Those still count over into the uh, ICE vehicle numbers that are sort of all lumped together. I personally think PHEV should be over on the other side, but I guess since they take gas,
Yes.
they get over onto that side. Um, so we get this comment all the time. I don't know how many times we can answer this, but I will
Yes.
keep answering it, I guess, because this is a debate. So, and Jarrett, um, come at me anytime, all the time. I love debate, so this is fine. But until you need a battery,
Yes.
yeah, that's not going to be 10, 15, or even 20 years, right? The batteries last a very, yes, they are expensive. Without
Yes.
a doubt, they're expensive. And it's not that the cost of the battery is expensive and that you're going to need one soon. You're not likely to need one in, 200,000 miles. However, as Mark has pointed out on our channel here before, um, the problem in the future is finding a retro battery that's going to fit to your vehicle. Because as technology is changing and the new batteries start rolling out, it will be harder and harder to find, say, on your 2018 Model 3, that battery that fits that. As LFP comes out, and Tesla's leaning hard into that, and Elon had
Mm-hmm.
this big announcement last week about, like, that's going to be their main technology is LFP. So when you have a 15-year-old EV, finding that old battery may become a challenge.
Do you think that as they develop these newer batteries with the newer battery chemistry and energy density and all those lovely terms that I've learned from you and Justin, um, do you think that they're going to have to figure out a way to make those be compatible with the older cars so that a 15-year-old EV isn't going to become um, a paperweight because you can't replace the battery because there are no batteries available because it's such old technology. Uh, do you think there's going to be a way for them to um, move along the lines that they can retrofit it to the older ones?
I think there will definitely have to be some sort of conversion kit out there with the
Hmm.
new batteries, which unfortunately means what, right? It means more cost, right? More
Yes.
cost when you do have to replace it because you're going to have some sort of conversion kit in there for the new batteries, if that's even possible. It depends. If we switch out to the 48-volt architecture and in vehicles, who knows then where that goes with the rest of it. Um, yeah, I don't know what that answer looks like. I know used batteries are, you know, energy storage solutions. That's part of the recycling. Um, there's lots of other solutions there.
Is
And
is there a standard in regards to figuring out battery health? Um,
no,
okay,
and
uh,
there needs to be.
I was going to say because if there is no standard to determining battery health and the amount of battery degradation that there's been on a used vehicle, um, well, knowing what we know about the automobile industry, uh, that there would be some in the industry that would use a report that says the battery really is healthy when in fact it really isn't, because there is no standard as to determine or how to determine what the health of the battery is. And I would think with all the money that is being committed to EVs, both from the manufacturers and from the federal government, that somewhere along the line, we have to come up with what the standard would be so that as a consumer, we would have some way of knowing legitimately what the health of a battery is.
Well, I mean, and there are ways to check. As Michael pointed out here, you can go into the Tesla screen and find out your battery health. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to take it to a service center to do that.
Yeah,
But it has to be plugged in to a level 2 charger and can take up to 24 hours. So it's not something you just do on the fly.
gotcha.
Um, the service center can run that. Recurrent uh, does it. I get my recurrent report every month. There are ways for you to do it yourself, but the problem is there's not a great way for you to do it yourself while shopping
Yes,
for a used EV. You can do it on your vehicle, and the longer you run it, the more accurate your reports are,
yes,
and that's fine. But the problem is, of course, on the used vehicle when you're shopping for it. Um, and that's we had a member today this morning. I was on with shopping for a 2021 Ford Mach-E.
mhm,
I won't use that other name, as everyone knows, but it's the Ford Mach-E. They were shopping for it. Owner had it for 1 year, 8 months. In February, it was in an accident, and it said
uh-huh,
just had some damage to the front and right fender.
okay,
But less than a month later, they sold that car to the dealer.
ah,
And so my big question and ask from them, and this was a VW dealer. I
uh-huh,
said, you need to take this over to Ford and get the battery checked. Like, there's no way, like, why would they get rid of it a month after an accident? Like, they just dumped it fast.
yes,
So, and this is the problem that we see with EVs, not to give Jarrett more ammunition here, but
because
I'm
he
going to give
doesn't
him
need
more.
any more.
Yeah, but I'm going to give him some more ammunition because EVs aren't perfect. And
Yes,
one of the things that we see constantly in this space is uh, insurance companies just totaling out EVs because they're more expensive to fix
yes,
than to get a new one. And so I wonder in this case if there was something there or if those people were just scared that there was going to be something wrong with the battery now that it was an accident. And so they dumped it really fast. They said it was a month. Like the time it would have taken to get it repaired, they
uh-huh,
immediately got rid of it. So I asked our member, I said, look, you need to get this over to Ford and get the battery checked. And that is something that we see more and more. You can't just get a Lemon Squad or a Meineke to go out there and take a look. Like, this is the problem that I see in the EVs. And I took my Tesla over to Tesla. When I bought it, this is the first thing I did. Okay, look,
Mhm.
let's go over there. Let's check out the battery health. Check out the electric motor. All that do, like, so I took it to Tesla to get it inspected.
You said something that really piqued my curiosity because, one of the great selling points, if I may, of an EV is that they are less expensive to maintain because there's less moving parts. Um, and you have the cost savings of electricity fueling it as opposed
Mhm.
to gas. However, you just said that many insurance companies find it cheaper ultimately to total a vehicle
Mhm.
after it's been in an accident so that they can replace it with a brand new one. Ultimately, if that's the case, where it becomes that the vast majority of these vehicles, when involved in accidents, can't be repaired but need to be replaced, won't that cause insurance rates on EVs to skyrocket, which
So,
would cut into some of those cost savings for having moved to an EV in the first place?
so I think I'm trying to figure that out because the standard insurance companies, I used to be with Progressive for
Mhm.
all my cars for 2 decades, and they were always cheap. Loved dealing with them. If anything ever happened, that was not a problem. But their cost on a EV was through the roof, and that might be
Yes.
part of it. However, other companies, and I ultimately went with Tesla, were
Yeah.
cheaper than insuring my Kia. Like, so I pay less money for Tesla insurance than I paid with Progressive for
Wow.
a
Okay.
Kia Optima. So, uh, it was like $20 a month more, but then I renegotiated with Tesla, and it's cheaper now for the same coverage I had on the Kia. So, it,
Can I say
I
something to
disagree with that.
Jared?
Yeah,
Can I
yeah,
can EVs ultimately are not a good car investment. Jared, I'm gonna help you with this. Cars
yeah.
ultimately are not a good investment. Okay. I don't care if it's an EV or if it's an ICE vehicle or if it's a PHEV, it doesn't matter. Cars, typically, other than this weird 3-year period we find ourselves in, are not and should never be considered an investment. Cars are an expense. End of sentence. It's just that simple. So don't ever think for a moment that a car is a reasonable investment, gas, EV or otherwise. They are not. Sorry about that.
Yeah. And BTVS has a point that we will be discussing more in depth tomorrow with a
Okay.
special guest, that parts will become more available on EVs as time goes by. Right now, parts are indeed hard. I mean, parts on anything are hard to find
Yes.
without a doubt. But EVs, it's very specialty. Like, you can't go to your local mechanic for a Tesla replacement parts.
Yes.
Ditto on a Mach-E or a Ionic. Those are all true. Uh, Depreciation on an EV was much less, but of
Mhm.
course now um,
It's
it's
much higher.
dropping.
Yeah.
And part of that is the Tesla effect. Look, maybe 60% of your market shouldn't be one purveyor. Perhaps other people need to become more powerful players. So when that one person drops the prices on their vehicle, it doesn't throw the entire market
Yes.
into chaos. Because that's what really happens right now. Like, a lot of this depreciation and price drop is because Tesla keeps dropping the price on their new vehicles. Thus, the used ones lose a lot of value. And then everyone else is scrambling to catch up. Like, so you can't have an Ionic 5, which is a wonderful car, but it can't be $10,000 more than a used Model Y.
Mhm.
Like, right? They have to, everyone scrambles off into this, and it becomes a race to the bottom, which is great for the consumer.
Yes. Yes.
Like,
Well,
I mean, I'm not complaining about that, but certainly the dealers have to, maybe not want Tesla to have such a market share.
Well, and I think the manufacturers, many of them, are out there trying to cut into Tesla's market share.
Yeah.
What is it that I read today, that by the end of this year there will be 50 different EVs available for sale or purchase in this country. 50. Okay. You know, I would have never guessed more than 10, but there'll be 50. That's a lot.
Those are
Okay.
models, right? Though.
Yeah,
So
but
Tesla has
whatever.
4 of them.
Yeah, but whatever, that's a lot more choice than people had before. So yes, I would think that Tesla will lose some market share, and I would suspect that they expect to lose market share as more and more models and vehicles become available from the other manufacturers.
I mean, Elon has said that so many times that he would love to lose market share. That
Yeah,
his whole
he's
goal
going
has
to.
always been to electrify the marketplace and to propel that sustainable future forward. So, yeah, I mean, Tesla not only expects it, but if you look at Toyota's new plans, they sort of scrapped the old EV and said,
Mhm.
we're changing the way we're doing it. And if you look at all their proposals, they look very familiar. They look very Tesla like in their proposal, which I've said never count out. How many times have I said never count out Toyota, right? Toyota, maybe they were going to be late to the game, although I don't know that anyone's late right now.
Mhm.
But they're going to see what works and then they're going to mimic the best. They tore down that Model Y, said it's a feat of engineering, it's art, and now that's exactly what they're doing.
You know, uh, it's okay to be late to the game. I remember when I was with Acura, and they came out with the MDX, and everybody had a mid-size SUV at that point. And as the vice president of sales said at that time, he said, if you're going to be late to the party, you better bring a hot date. Okay, and they were late to the party when it came to those SUVs. But my God, everybody and their brother wanted it because it had 3 row seating. It had so much standard equipment. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me that Toyota could out Tesla. Um,
Well,
just because you're late doesn't mean that you're not doing your due diligence to figure out what the public would want and then how to provide them with it.
well, let me ask you this, Ray. Who is the king of late to the game? I'll give you a hint. It's the most valuable company on earth.
I don't know who's the most valuable company on earth. Apple.
That's right.
Yeah.
King of late to the game, right? They don't invent anything. Like there's always someone who comes out with it first. They just perfect it, come out with it, and make you want it. Like so, they're the king of late to the game,
Yes.
and they've made a model of it so valuable that they're more valuable than everyone else on earth. You don't have to be first.
But
You just have to. If you're going to be late, it damn well better be very user friendly and almost perfect.
yes, and aren't you proud of me for my guess to guess Apple?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. Because you
Yeah.
don't even have an Apple phone.
No,
But
I am the only reason that I use a MacBook is because it's company issued.
yeah,
Um, Otherwise, my main computer is not Apple based. I just I it must be the contrarian on me, but anything that's the biggest in the world, I don't want to support. Okay, and I don't know why. So like I know my son loves Apple's products and Apple phones, and those people who are Apple lovers are without a doubt raving fans, such as yourself. And I I guess it's the Groucho Marx in me, in the sense that I don't want to be a member of a club that will, well, have me as a member. Uh, so, I don't want to be like everybody else. Okay, so yeah, I have my Google
Yeah.
Pixel phone, and and a Zeus regular computer, and yeah, I'm.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with that. I am a big fan of Apple. There's reasons why I buy them. Um, I won't get into that whole debate. That's fine. But I totally respect people that like, hey, I don't want to be sucked into that ecosystem that you can never get away from. Like, I
I don't.
appreciate
I
that.
don't. I don't want to feel like a follower.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Nothing wrong with that.
and that to me is what and I don't mean any disrespect to you, but that to me is what I see in so many people that use Apple products. And like when the new Apple phone comes out every year, well, they have to have it. Well, just because your phone's a year old doesn't mean it's no good anymore.
I'm not going to take offense, even though I buy the new phone every year.
See,
Yeah.
why do you do that?
Well, so Ray, here's part of it, and we'll get back to Rocky's
And
comment.
no, you don't need a manual. No, because who needs a model for
Yeah.
seniors. Yeah.
We'll get back to that
sure.
because I think we were talking about part of
Yeah.
that earlier today.
Yeah.
But why do I do it? Because, hey, Ray, I pay off my phones because I don't pay monthly. I
Yeah.
hate doing that. So why I do it every year is because I can sell my phone for the
Yes.
most money right as the new models come out. So I pay about $200 a year
Yeah.
for the brand new phone because I get about a $200 difference
Yeah.
between selling my old one. So for me, that's totally worth it. I'm like, yeah, I'll just do that. So $200 a year I spend out for the new phone after the initial payment. I don't like payments. If I kept it for 5 years, I probably wouldn't have a problem at all. Yeah, like it's not really that big of a deal. But I feel like I would be spending out $1,000 that I never get back. It's sort of weird, twisted thinking, and you have to go around a weird rabbit hole to make it justified. But I do it anyway.
No,
Uh,
well, justify is in part of your name, so
that's
it's
right.
okay.
That's right. So back to Rocky's comment or Rock's comment.
Yeah.
Do we need a model for seniors? I believe you sent me an article that I almost sent you this morning
Yeah.
about some of this. So do you remember what that part was that I said specifically was actually great for the seniors?
I don't.
So
on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I have to read so much crap between the two shows.
No, I know.
I can't keep them. And I'm older, so my memory's like shot. I can remember all the stuff that happened 60 years ago, but I can't remember the stuff from 60 minutes ago. But I hear that's a hell of a news magazine show. I'm not sure.
It used to be. Yeah. So the article was about the new Tesla screens.
Yes.
All the updates that are coming out, and they released some of it for those who work at Tesla. They got the beta. They tested out. That's the way Tesla does it. And some of the improvements. One of the improvements that I thought was great for seniors was the text size. Yes, because I know I've seen a lot in the forums from people on, I can't read the screen, and there's only one thing in the entire car, and that's a screen.
Yes.
And it's all in one place, and you couldn't adjust it. And I think doing a text size adjustment makes total sense. And I get the seniors that like, that's too far away. I can't read that. I need to. So that is a major, I think, going to be an improvement on that.
Yes. What big font you have? Yes, I like that.
All the better to be read by you.
Yes, exactly. No, that part makes sense. And the other thing that would make sense, especially for seniors, and I am sure they'll be able to do this one day, is to figure out how a senior can control their hearing aids within the apps that are on the screens that are available. So that
Yeah.
when I get in that accident, it's because I was trying to increase the volume on my left hearing aid as opposed to just my right hearing aid, and I kind of took my eye off the road, and so I didn't see or hear that accident coming on. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I have a question about your hearing aids as it relates to this sort of.
Yes,
Do they have built-in Bluetooth yet?
they do.
Like, yeah.
Yeah,
So
they do.
could
And
you pair that with your car?
can I tell you that the like I can turn on the Bluetooth on my phone, and it is the oddest feeling in the world to have it in your ear. I mean, literally in
In,
your ear. It doesn't. I mean, the phone would ring, and it wouldn't just ring; it would ring inside my ear. I hated it. I had to turn off the blue. I couldn't stand it. It was just like I'm having conversations, and it's deep in my ear, and it just could not do it. But yes, they are Bluetooth.
no, I didn't know BTVS was up here with me. He just took his road trip from Sacramento to San Diego and back,
Wow.
and used Apple Maps for that. Doesn't the ID4 have a map system?
I'm sure
I
it
wonder if
probably
it's
does.
just not very good. I have not used it, so I've only used the Tesla map systems, which I find are just as good as Apple. Only, of course, they can tell me where all the Tesla chargers are along the route,
Which is important.
yes, especially if I'm going to go to San Diego, which
I
is
would think. Yes.
like a 8.5, 9 hour drive each way from
I've
here.
heard
So,
that. Yes.
so that would be important. Yeah.
Oh,
So, I mean, doing
this
the
this one's
oh,
interesting. I
yeah.
must share this one. Marijuana does wonders for us seniors. Um, okay. I know I when Zach and I wintered in Vegas a couple years ago, and marijuana dispensaries are like on every corner. So I tried some gummies to help me sleep. Now I will tell you that the day I got my second COVID shot, okay, um, that you should not take a gummy the day you get your second COVID shot.
Oh, odd.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know until I did it. And the hallucinations that evening when I was trying to sleep were just absolutely incredible. I was literally convinced that I was dead. I was dying. I was just I had to keep reminding me, just keep breathing, Ray. Just keep breathing. And finally, after like an hour for reminding myself to keep breathing, I finally said, "The hell with it. If I don't wake up in the morning, I don't wake up in the morning. I can't spend the entire night reminding myself that I need to keep breathing and that there's all these crazy things going on in my head." So just as a point of reference, if you get your booster or don't ever do a gummy that night. Just don't. It's not
So
right.
almost like pumping your body full of chemicals
Yeah.
and then taking drugs is
Yeah.
not a good idea. Who
Well,
knew?
I didn't.
Who
I had
could have
no
ever
idea.
known?
I had no idea at the time, but I learned.
I would say mixing marijuana and most pharmaceuticals are probably a bad idea.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
You know,
Just for this comes from the California knowledge as it's just absorbed around me all the time now.
well, see, this goes back to why I probably should have repeated first grade.
Yeah. Now you got to do some shrooms, but
Yeah.
not with your COVID shot. Probably
No.
also really bad. I mean, those are bad enough already. Now,
Yeah.
I know up in Oregon and Washington, they do not feel those are bad, but
Okay,
Um,
well, I don't know, but yeah, so I kind of swore off gummies after that. So
yeah, like it's just one of those, like everything, check how the interactions are going to happen when you put anything into your body.
I
Um,
know when my doctor prescribed some additional prescriptions, I just looked at him and I said, "I have one question for you." He said, "What's that?" I said, "Do all these things play well together? Because
yeah,
if they don't, I don't want to take them all." He goes, "No, no, no, we should be okay." So, yeah,
your
because
pharmacist.
that's a question most
Yep,
people don't ask.
yep.
Um, and oftentimes doctors forget to check to see what the interactions might be between the various drugs that they prescribe to you. Um,
Yes,
I,
not enough people ask, and you ask your pharmacist. It is part of their trained job to
yes,
know how these medications interact with each other. I'm
yes,
not sure what this has to do with TVs. Sorry, guys, we got off on a tangent, but it is still very, very important. Ask your pharmacist too. Ask your
yes,
doctor. Ask your
mm,
pharmacist. Hey, do these things all play well together? But
yes,
especially if you're going to multiple doctors for multiple things, your pharmacist should be saying, "Hey, these two, you can't do these
yes.
together."
And the only reason I think it was okay for us to bring this up is because
Yeah.
we were talking about health prior to this.
Yes,
It,
that's right.
albeit it was battery health,
Yeah, but
but health was in there. So yes,
that's right. And this is an opinion debate show. This is
yes.
not a news show, so we can talk about anything we want. Uh,
Well, we're going to talk about my lunch in a minute.
that's right. That's right. So we're going to end the show on drug interactions, and
Yes,
be careful out there. Do not
absolutely.
take gummies and drive, folks. Don't get into your EVs on gummies and drive.
No, no, and don't take gummies after your COVID shots. Do
That's
not.
right. Don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Don't. Yeah.
yeah,
Watch out on the interactions of all your chemicals.
exactly, exactly.
All right. Well, Ray, we'll be back tomorrow where
Yes.
we were going to discuss some of the points that were made in the comments here. Hopefully, everyone comes back. That is maintenance costs and repairs and what EVs are doing to your local mechanic shop.
Oh, yeah, that should be way interesting.
Yeah. And we
Yeah,
will have the one and only Space Mario on with us tomorrow
I'm looking
to
forward to it.
discuss that. He owns a Polestar. He owns an EV. It prefers his ICE vehicles. So we will be digging in from that point of view as well.
Cool. It'll
So
be fun. Tomorrow shall
yeah.
be fun.
So we will
And
see everyone tomorrow.
on the Ray and Zach channel, it'll be Ray and Kimberly tomorrow, I do believe.
That's right.
So I look forward to seeing everybody on the two channels tomorrow.
Yeah. I look forward to it tomorrow.
Thanks, Justice.
Bye, everyone.